So welcome along. My name's Ian Crawford. Looking forward to spending some time with you today. 45 minutes. We're going to pack in as much as we possibly can during that time. Just out of curiosity in the chat, if you've been in one of my sessions last year or the year before, can you let me know? Just put a yes, or if this is the first time you've met me, no. No, a couple of yeses there. Those people that have said yes, you suckers, you're back again. Those people who are saying no, let me give a quick overview who I am. My name's Ian Crawford. I'm a Perth boy, north of the river, and I own a business called Candor Training. And basically what I work with, that are thank you, Nat. You get the special prizes for saying that. Well done. High five to you. I have a business called Candor Training, and I work in the area of leadership, high performance, and influence. And why do I get to come and talk to you about not-for-profits and P&Cs and things like that? Well, firstly, dad. I've been a dad. I've done the P&C thing. I know what it's like. And I also spent 20 years working in the not-for-profit world from an organizational development point of view. Now, this session is all about you. If you got a question, you can either send it on in the chat message there. You can write it directly on my screen, or you can unmute yourself and say, hey, Cross, shut up. Can I say something? I understand it's 45 minutes. I will also very happy to stay around at the end. I know most of you want to go to the inclusion session that's after us, and I can give the double thumbs up to that crew who do a fantastic job. So I can stay behind and have a chat. 41 people in the room. Sensational. Let's get going. 45 minutes. I'm going to give you as many tips as I possibly can in that 45 minutes in regards to you taking your organization from whatever level you are to the next one. And I've taken the ideas and the concepts and the strategies, what I would do if I was working or involved in a P&C. So they could be slightly different to that I work in the corporate world or big not-for-profits. But these are the things that I've seen either from a research point of view or from me being a dad or working with other P&Cs or working with not-for-profits, small ones, that tend to work. All right, so you ready? Let's go. Here's my question for you. What do you like doing to relax on the weekends? Just out of curiosity. I was going to ask where you're from, but I don't need to because it's all written up there on my screen. It's all. So what do you like doing to relax on the weekends? Either type on my screen or you can do it in the chat box. Meditate. Is that because you do it really loud? Nothing. Catching up with friends. Nothing. Reading. Thank you. Drink. I knew that would come up. Paddle boarding. Oh, okay. That's a stand-up. Diamond art painting. I don't even know what that is. Crafting. Farmers markets. Relax with wine and friends. You're on P&C, so that would be a reading. Catching up on housework and gardening. Woo, woo, woo. That sounds great. Walking and wine, not at the same time. Why not? I think that's a great idea. Just rest and recover. Going to the park with my daughter. I love it. What else we got? Come on, 42 people. About to admit 43rd person into the room. Relaxing from Gin Gin. And what a beautiful place. I went past Gin Gin this morning, believe it or not. A friend of mine is on his motorbike and he's going, he works on a mine site and he's going up to Tom Price. And so I spent an hour and a bit with him on his bike following up there. While listening to your podcast. What's your favorite podcast? Yeah, it's a beautiful place, Gin Gin, and got some great butchers as well. Snuggling the dog. What's your favorite podcast, that person says? Catching up with friends. What else we got? 30 more seconds. Drink. Yeah, I thought that would come up a few times. I'm guessing that snug is probably a snuggly the dog person. Fishing, camping, art, craft, finding new things for my class to do. Oh dear, build, find, motor, and nature play stuff. Fantastic. Armchair expert. My favorite at the moment, has been for a long time actually, is Stuff You Should Know. Stuff You Should Know. These guys have been around for 10 years, over 1,000 podcasts, and they're ranked in the top 10 in Australia. Brilliant, brilliant. All righty, stop. Thank you very much. Excellent work. So we know that you can annotate and type. Now, one of the really strange things with Zoom is I have to clear all the drawings or I move on to the next slide or it follows me. So So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is your tips for building a high-performing organization or moving your organization forward. If you've been with me before, you would have seen this as a common theme for me, and it's going to come back even more precisely today. If you want to take your organization, your committee, your group, your parents as a whole, your school, and you want to move them forward to a place where you know they should be, here's the first thing. You need to choose to do it. Now, I know that sounds really strange, but what we tend to find is, and the people that I work with, they tend to, if I sit and chat to them, go, hey, what's going on? Do you want to get better? They go, oh, yeah, I want to do better. But they just assume that you're going to get better by osmosis, or assume that we'll just get better for turning up. There's a really great book by a guy called Jim Collins called Good to Great. And probably the world-leading expert in regards to high-performing cultures. And he's very strong in the not-for-profit sector as well, where he found out the difference between those organizations who have gone from doing well, but moved to that high performance or higher level. There was a distinct point, an absolute distinct point in their history where they all stood up and said, enough's enough, we're going to move forward. And the really interesting thing that he found was these high performing organizations that he looked at, very few of them were the big names. All right, so all the big organizations that you would know that are pretty common in the newspaper and that you buy products from, very few of them are working at a high performance level, simply because they don't choose to. And the other thing is, going to high performance requires work. It doesn't just happen. And it's a mindset so the choose mindset is also a mindset that we find from high-performing individuals and some of the elite athletes that I get to work with, high-performing parents and teachers and everything in between, is that they take full responsibility of where they are. If you've got a crappy P&C and it's not working the way it is, two people to blame. No, I don't mean that. Two people that need to take responsibility is the leadership group, and secondly is the group itself. And one of the things that I tell leaders is, if you're on the management group, president, vice president, chairperson, secretary, et cetera, then you're part of the leadership group, and the P&C that you're responsible for is a reflection of that group. If it's not going well, then I'm going to come and speak to the leadership group. Now, here's the thing, that might not be in reality, but what I do know from a high performance mindset point of view, those people who move forward and continue to grow, both from an individual and a group point of view, they take full responsibility for where they are. Because they know deep down that if I take responsibility for where I am now, then I have unlimited strategies to move me from where I am to where we need to be. Those organizations and those individuals that step back and go, oh, look, I've just got a crappy group of parents this year and they don't want to be here. They're just here to annoy me or whatever it is. Basically, we take all the responsibility and throw it at those people. And in doing so, restrict and stop any strategies or limit our strategies that we can put in place to influence the group to move them forward. So that if you get nothing out of our session today, except, you know what, we are going to move forward and I'm going to make it my job that we move forward. Now, you might move in your tenure, you might move forward this far, or you might move forward this far or a mile. It doesn't matter. As long as you move your organization forward to do things new, better, different, that's what we're aiming for today. The next thing is this. If I came up to you and said, what's your vision of your organization? Would you be able to tell me? And while you think of that, there's another great book that I would highly recommend. And if you don't want to read it, you can get it on YouTube. Is a guy called Stephen Covey. And Stephen Covey is a really great writer. He wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And probably the largest bit of research that we've done, like I was involved in it, people have done around effectiveness of organization, both from a not-for-profit through to corporate. And they found that those individuals and those organizations do 7 things slightly different to those less effective. And he found that they really start with that begin with the end in mind. And then the stronger the organization and the bigger the organization is and the more powerful it is about moving forward, the more clarity it has around this. So out of curiosity, either in my chat box or on my screen now, who has sat down and clearly established a vision for their P&C? And number two is, does everyone know about it? Or is it just you and your committee know about it? Does everyone know? So nope and nope. All right, so if you're going to do some ticks on my screen, give me 2 scripts or 1. All righty. No and no. Thank you for that. Nope. Yes, via a questionnaire. Good one. Love it. Love that questionnaire, that collaborative approach. Planning to? Yeah, I've heard that before. When are you going to do it by? Jin? I'm looking at you. Give me a date. No and no. Yes to increased numbers and money raised. That's not a vision. That's not a vision. About, what's your end point? What are you going to do with that money? Because here's the other thing about vision, and understand this. If you put stuff on my screen, I can't tell where it comes from, so you can do it anonymously. To increase numbers and money is not a vision. What are you going to do with that money? All right, I'm going to put a new play equipment in. For what reason? To develop the physical skills and the mental skills of our children. That's a vision. Well, there's nothing wrong with increasing numbers and money raised, nothing at all. It just doesn't fit. The other thing I want you to think about is this. I am a new parent at your school, all right? You've seen me and go, oh, we need someone at the P&C, or I'm interested in being your P&C, and I walk up to you and say, just out of curiosity, what's your vision? 1, could you tell me? If yes, whatever you'd say to me, is it motivating enough for me to go, well, that's interesting. Let me look further. Started, but we got distracted. That's hilarious. You're not alone there. You're not alone. Would you be able to share your questionnaire? Oh, someone has just asked the questionnaire. So Wheatbelt South, if you missed that, they're looking for the questionnaire they used. A bit of collaboration. Have had issues with motivating the entire team for this goal. Now, here's the thing. If you've got a lackluster group, all right, then do it yourself. Get your senior group together, get your executives together and do it. All right, because at the very least, you've got something, and at the very least, you've got a discussion point. So if people don't like what you've said about the vision, then they'll tell you, sort of thing. So what else we got? No one knows. Suggested annual goal school wish list. Yeah, that's good. But again, what? You can ask the question, why does the P&C exist? All right, because if we don't have that end point, if we don't understand where we need to go, not only do we not gather our people and move them towards where we need to go, that's the most important thing, but how do you make decisions? Right? How do you make decisions in regards to, do we do this strategy or this strategy? If you don't have the end point as a going, okay, was this strategy or this strategy allow me to reach the end point better? Because if you don't have that, you're going to be shooting in the dark. That was a shotgun. It's a scatter-like approach. So if you get, but P&C is a continual process. There is no end point. Yeah, but visionary, providing, let's go for a made-up vision that I'm going to make right off the top of my head. What would it be? So, building diversity and allowing all our children equality through education. Okay, something like that. You're never going to reach that. It's an aspirational goal. So therefore, it's a continual process. And it's not a P&C stuff. Every organization ever developed is an ongoing thing. And you'll see what with the next step. So it's a new P&C. It's a perfect time to do it. Yeah, stop using excuses. All right, I'm getting a lot of, oh, we can't do this. It's not. No, get rid of it. First of all, if you have a constitution, and I know that you're under the umbrella constitution, firstly, that will have a vision in it. All right, it's part of the constitutional thing. But if you want to chunk down into yours, all right, vision is way bigger. All right, it's about, it could be simply supporting our supporting our children through the education journey. There we go. That's a vision that I can get behind. So it's an aspirational thing about endpoint. There has been no successful organisation that doesn't have an endpoint. And someone says, do you mean objectives in the Constitution? Sometimes they have a higher level, broader statement about why the not-for-profit, the association, the incorporated body exists. So I haven't delved into your big picture Constitution, I must admit, but it will be there. So, but anyway, I'll give you some other tips around those, which goes down a little bit further in a minute. So on your to-do list, this is one of the things that I really encourage you to do. It's really important. It allows you to make better decisions. It also, if you don't have a vision and someone comes up and goes, why should I be involved with you? If you got nothing, then why would I want to be involved in you? You're just a group of people talking about doing stuff. And also, here's the thing, P&Cs aren't about raising money. For goodness sake, don't focus on that. Right? What are you going to do with the money? How will that impact on the school and the children? Hey, I know you have to. I know you have to raise money, but that's how we reach the vision, not what you do. It's the only thing you do. And because people don't get behind raising money. All right, they don't get behind raising money. They don't get fundraising. What they get behind, because we're emotional beings, is what you're going to do with that money. How are you going to spend it? How's that going to impact on our children? And that's what you sell, the vision of it. Okay. So here's the next thing you might want to do, and this comes from that person who said, P&Cs, it's never ending. You're right, but that you have to exist for some reason. But here's the thing. So the next thing I would ask you to do is, once you've identified what your vision is, so do you mean what is used in emergency service? I don't know what that means. Yeah. So it says, sorry, it wasn't meant to presenter. Situation, mission, admin, logistics, and comms command. To a degree. Yeah. I wouldn't get too carried away with that sort of stuff. That seems a bit too detailed for a P&C, especially around the mission thing. We start getting really caught up in what's a vision and mission and all that stuff. Tell me what your endpoint is. There you go. And your emergency service, way bigger, more complicated. And that's why you have to do what you've done around emergency service there. So now you've set your vision. All right. So you say, let's just assume that your vision is supporting all children through the educational journey, or the primary school journey, or the high school journey, wherever you come from. Okay. Now, my question would be, and you get to choose the number here, is that in 1, 2, or 3 years in advanced, how will you know you've been successful at achieving that vision? All right. Oh, so yeah, someone's just put Geograph Primary School, together towards future horizons. Okay. Now, here's my question. So in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, how will you know you've achieved together towards future horizons? What would you put in place? So now we've got the rubber hits the road, because the vision can be a bit airy-fairy. Now the question is, well, what will we be doing? And for those people, yeah, smaller. That's very impressive writing. Yeah, we're not quite there yet. Not to the smaller projects. I'm basically going to say, if you implemented all your smaller projects, how would you know? Do you know what I mean? So it could be something along the lines, how will you know? We've got smiling children enjoying their break, if that's your focus the next few years. Yeah, so if people are writing achievable goals with a review date and a date to end, yes and no. How will we know if we've achieved all our goals? What will we see? What will we hear? No, not milestones either. At the end. All right. Happy parents? Oh, I think you focus at the... My challenge to that would be, who is your clientele? It ain't parents. All right. Your end customers are your children in your school, I would suggest. And here's the thing. One of the things I tell leaders is, don't try to make people happy. You'll lose there you go, happy faces on kids, while going to air-conditioned rooms, while eating healthy food at the canteen, while having complete access to the latest reading material, a bit more specific. Because what we're trying to do is to drag people in and get an understanding about where we are so they can get on board and we can move that. So people's vision, provide extra resources for our students to better their better their education. There you go. How we know we have been successful. Increased participation for parents. There we go. So increased participation for parents for P&C, the school, and the P&C goals overall are reviewed and aligned. So here's the thing though, how would I know that I've got increased participation from parents? So it might be in 2023, our P&C has excess volunteers to complete all tasks. We have people requesting to volunteer, not to be asked. See the difference? All right, so I'm looking for the endpoint because that increased participation is the next level down where we set some really quite specific goals. All righty, good work. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, so Cape Naturalist College said improve visibility of P&C in the school so that parents are supportive. Now, the only thing I would suggest is why do I want improved visibility of P&C? That doesn't achieve anything. The actual improve. For what reason do I want improved visibility? All right, Cape Naturalist, come back to me on that one. Improve visibility. For what reason? And that will be let them know you exist. That's a for that group, that person who said greater support. So they can communicate what they do, how they help the school and kids, possibly. All right, you get the idea though. All right, so you can see how while we think about these things, greater impact. How will I know I've got greater impact? All right, okay, I'm going to ask people to stop. So I'm just going to clear all that so I can move on to the next one. Get them to see what they are providing and how they are making a difference. Yeah. How will you know that's been achieved? All righty, so let a few more people in. It's quite. Hopefully, you can just see the generics of what I'm going with. Obviously, we had more time; we could delve into more. But I saw one group saying, sometimes we don't have a lot of influence over where the money's spent. See, I'd have a concern with that. And so, one of my visions would be that we have greater influence about where money is spent. Yeah, we align our funding with, for example, with the school's wish list. Yep, good one. It could be. And then but also here's the other thing that I'd be asking the school is how does that wish list align with their vision? Right, because sometimes people buy stuff because it's nice to have rather than what they should have. I could get myself in trouble. I get myself in trouble, but they need to be held accountable because people make those really quick decisions rather than going, okay, what's best for our kids? Over the long period of time. And that's how and that's nothing against your school. It's simply how humans are wired. So, okay, next thing. So now I want you to follow the pattern. So I've got this big picture. Why do we exist? What's the vision of the P&C at your school? The next one is how will we know we've achieved that over 1, 2, or 3 years? Now, the reason I don't go more than 3 years into the advance, and this comes into the planning as well, is what I find with volunteers in particular, they can't think further ahead than 3 years because most of them are perceiving that they won't be involved in 3 years' time. They may be, but they at the point. So sometimes, schools go 5 year or 6 year looking into the future. You can do that, but I just find greater engagement occurs when it's within a time frame that all the volunteers, e.g. parents, I think they're going to be involved. In 3 years seems to be the cutoff for the volunteer group. So, big picture, how do we know that's achieved? Now, the next one is this, having a plan in place that takes us from where we are now to where we want to be. And, as soon as I start mentioning the word strategic plan and operational plan, usually I get people, reaching for the red wine, all right? Because it can be a painful experience putting this together. So for your organisations that we're talking to today, be very comfortable with a one-pager, all right? for the next 12 months. 1 page per 12 months or something like that. So it's easy. Now, just out of curiosity, who has a plan as part of their P&C, operational plan, business plan, strategic plan, whatever you want to call it? Who has one of those? All right, yes or no? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Yep, 1 year plan. Nice. Oh, I forgot. I missed who it was. Sorry. Yeah, all right. You've probably heard the old saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. It's 2020, we don't make plans. Yeah, I reckon in these sort of times, people are desperate to have some clarity. It's better to have. Yes, 12-month plan, bravo. Now, here's the thing though. We are rolling 12-month plan that maps out meeting dates, key events, and how we will market, advertise our activities. What about the actual activities that you do? So GPS, Geograph Primary School. I've actually taken some classes there. Believe it or not, one of my friends was a school teacher there while I was down there. I used to be a phys ed teacher. I'm not some stranger off the street. Good. All right, so a few on your way as well. Now, here's the thing. And there is not one successful organization in the world that's ever got successful without, okay, amalgamation. But you know what? If you go through amalgamation, for goodness sake, do the planning now. It's a perfect time to do planning because amalgamation usually means change, and change means uncertainty, and uncertainty means, holy crap, we're all over the place. All right, so it's actually a really good time to start the process. We generally have an amount each year that we try and commit to funding. In November each year, we schedule our fundraising. Okay, it's fine. And you get to choose what's in it. But also remember things like governance, and make sure you've got policies and procedures in place. Make sure you've got job descriptions and all the other things that we'll talk about. So it's not just about what you deliver. Now, why do we plan? One is it allows people to get on board again. So I can show the plan to my parents and the greater community and go, hey, here's what we're going to be involved in. If you're interested, come along, be involved. Second thing is, and I think this is a very specific thing to P&Cs, is ensuring that your plan aligns with the school's expectations and perceptions of what the P&C does. All right, so at the beginning of each year, you might go to your principal or the vice principal or whoever your contact point is to sit down and go, hey, here's what we perceive our plan. What do you think? Does that align with the wish list? Does that align with what you want us to be to support you and the students? And then you go into the negotiating about yes or no and getting to a point where you're both being clear. So if one of the groups, either the P&C or the teacher group start to waver off that agreed plan, then we can come back and go, well, hang on a second, let's have a conversation about that. At the beginning of the year, we said that we were going to do this. What has changed? Without that plan, that conversation of going in a different direction is, I'm right and you're wrong, and they're looking at you going, well, hang on, I'm right and you're wrong, and it becomes a value conversation, and that's never good, and that erupts into conflict. Here's the other thing about planning as well, is when you got opportunities to do maybe some grants. I have no doubts there'll be some grants floating around at some stage in the next 12 months for P&Cs and schools, and how do you choose which one to go for? Organisations without plans go for every grant. And that's just outright dumb because you need to go for grants that align with your plan, not the other way around. All right. And also, if new stuff comes in, new ideas, is more difficult for our P&C to plan as we're on 3 separate campuses. I disagree. It might be harder, but it's more important. If you're on 3 different campuses, holy moly, you should be planning to get that clarity about where you are moving towards. All right, just get them in a room for one night. It'll take 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours to get a 12-month plan together. So yeah, if you've got that diversity of 3 campuses, man, you're just giving yourself an excuse. More important to get a plan than not. So when new things come along, so if I've got my plan here and new things come along, grants, ideas, perspectives, strategies, new people with new ideas, it allows us to make a decision-making point as well. So if something new over here comes floating in, we go, okay, does this new thing or the way that we've established for this year allow us to reach that vision more effectively and more quickly? If the answer is this, then that disappears. If the answer is this new thing, then you place it in your plan, and the next thing is something in that plan comes out. So you are constantly at a place where you can work. Now, if I don't have that plan and something new comes along, then the human brain will just make decisions based on emotional. And, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty good. And we start loading up committees and individuals that they're now overloaded without staying the course of what you plan with. I'm a big fan of quality over quantity. All righty, holy, I just saw the time. All righty, so once you've got the plan, I want you to do this. I want you to go out and select the best people and then let them do the job. And here's another additional thing about plans, that you can walk up, you need a new vice president or vice chair or whatever positions you have on your committee. And you walk up to this person who would be good and just say, hey, look, we're looking for a new vice chair. And before you say yes, here's our plan. And here's the things that the vice chair will be responsible for. And by giving them those framework allows people to make better decisions. If we just walk up and go, hey, we would like you to be the vice chair, people will say no. If you walk up to them, show them something with it that they can make judgment around, facts and figures, and also indicate a time frame in regards to their commitment, then they can make decisions based on facts rather than emotion. All right, so it's a really, and here's the other thing, a little tip for you. I would rather have a gap on my committee than have the wrong person in it. I would rather have less people on my committee than have the wrong person in it. So go out and find them, and just don't expect and hold your AGM or your voting processes or whatever stress process that you do, and just expect people to turn up. Go out and seek the best. All right, your school deserves it, your committee deserves it, and most importantly, your kids do. Once we've made decisions, go away. Once we've made decisions around our committee, then I think it's really important for us to have some descriptions around what roles and responsibilities and expectations each person is supposed to have and what tasks. Now, we want to do that because, and this might be frustrating to start off with, but you do this sort of stuff, the last slide and this one, you will automatically get better people, because those people who will be good on a committee and get things done, they know the power of having clarity around what they do. And so if you have role descriptions for each position, if you have responsibilities, expectations, and identify what tasks, not only does it allow people to make better decisions, it also allows them to comfortably manage their own time and do what needs to be done. And from a high performance, the thing that we find around high performance in particular is they have incredible clarity around these sort of things. Because I'm looking at a picture of Tom on my screen, and that's why I'm going to pick on him. That if Tom and I have real clarity in regards to our role and responsibilities and our ability to what's expected of us, it allows us to go and do our work. Thanks, Tom. And at the very same time, because we've got clarity around that, I can trust that Tom is doing what he needs to do. If I don't have clarity, I'm constantly going, well, I'm working hard. Is Tom working hard? And I'm looking over the shoulder. Here's the second thing, and this is more from an operational point of view, that when we bring, for example, let's bring Tom back. I'm the chair of the P&C and Tom's not. And I bring them back in, I can bring out these roles and responsibility and go, hey, Tom, by the 24th of August, you said you were going to do A, B, and C. How's that going? And so now it's easy to have conversations and hold him accountable, because he knows what he's want to do. I know what he's supposed to be doing, and he knows the date to be done by. And simply the response is this. You don't get to discuss it. Tom either goes yes, no, or it's close. If he starts going, oh, Cross, I've been really busy with work and the kids have been sick, I'm going to go, hey, look, I hear what you're saying. Are you going to complete it by the 24th of August, yes or no? And if he says no, it's, hey, mate, so what needs to happen for us to get that move forward? What help do you need? And see how it establishes a really clear process. Whereas a lot of committees, so Tom, how'd you go with contacting the sponsors for the next quiz night? Oh, Cross, that's really, it was pretty good, pretty busy week. I phoned a few. I don't care. Just tell me if you've done it. You said you were going, if we have a plan and roles and expectations, you said you were going to contact 3 sponsors. Did you do it? All right. Now, I know that sounds really quite harsh in this time, in this sort of forum, but it's not. People Love that, because they can move on and they're not going to spend 2 hours at your freaking P&C meeting. All right, quickly moving forward. Next one is effective communication. All right. Oh, geez, I got 9 minutes. All right, effective communication. Here it is. I would suggest that you understand that how important it is. It's tough at first, but when in place. Yeah, thank you. Geograph PS. It really does. It really makes a difference. It can be tough, but once you get used to putting it together, it's less tough. Get the headmaster or one of the local people to help you with it, to facilitate the process, to put it together. It becomes a lot easier. Here's what I want to tell you about effective communication. And this is what I know about either internally, e.g. your committee, P&C, or externally to your parents. I want you to, one, choose one or two, maybe three, avenues of communication. Is it email and Facebook? Email, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I don't get to choose what it is, but choose. I'm finding more and more organizations, both from a corporate and a not-for-profit point of view, is they're trying to do everything to everyone. All right? You need to drive your community, teachers, parents, kids, and your committee to one place or one or two places that they can get the best information, what's happening in the P&C and what needs to be involved. All right? And don't waver from it. And if people complain, I don't care. All right? If you go email and Facebook is where you get the latest, greatest information, and people ring you, then say, hey, look, check out the Facebook page for the latest information, put down the phone. If they, I should be doing it on LinkedIn or we should put it on TikTok, all right? No, choose to, stick to it, drive people to that communication. And here's the final thing. Make some decisions on who will put the information out. You should only have one or two people sending information out to your client group, e.g. parents and teachers, okay? Next one is all about building culture. And one of those things is, this is a really nice conversation to have at the beginning of every year, school year, is, basically get as many people as you can together, and maybe that's just a committee, and go, okay, for us to be the most successful committee, how will we, how will we behave? What are the things we will do and won't do? What are some of the behaviors we're going to commit to? And the reason we want to have that conversation is to get everyone aligned. And one of the most obvious things is that we have open and forward conversations. And once we make a decision, we'll stand behind each other with that decision and not go out to the community and go, it was really good. We voted yes, but you know what? Aaron voted yes, and I want to know, but I got outvoted. I think it's a dumb idea. No, if your committee votes yes for something, everyone on the committee will stand up and go yes and get behind it. You don't get to go vote for something and then throw the rest of the committee under the bus. So one of the really quick things I do is just have that conversation. And one that, someone just said from GPS again, recently surveyed our parents in regards to how they want to hear from the P&C, Facebook and newsletter. Perfect. There it is. Now do it. Now do it, now do it, now do it. And just keep going. And there's going to be people who won't like that, but I don't care. Just keep pushing it. Standing together. Now, the reason I want to do that is, one, because we identify the culture we're going to work within. That's the most important. But here's the second thing again. If Aaron does run out and start bagging me as the chairperson, or Amanda from Ashburton goes out and goes, that Cross from Perth? You get some ideas, but how dumb was he in regards to play equipment and blah, 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 blah. If that occurs and me as the chair have to have that conversation with Amanda, it becomes a lot easier because I can walk up to Amanda and go, hey, Amanda, remember at the beginning of the year we had a conversation in regards to how we would manage each other and manage the committee and how we wouldn't talk behind each other back. I've noticed you've been doing that and I want to talk to you about how we can stop that. It makes it a lot easier, okay? Very quickly as well, this one here is basically what we want organizations to do, and I pick any organization, okay, including your family, is we want to do something of what we call above the line, e.g. solution focus. What we tend to find a lot of committees do is they get bogged down in the problem. All right, so for example, someone comes along and goes, hey, we haven't got enough money to pay for the air conditioning at the end of the year. And for the next 20 minutes, they'll talk about why we haven't got enough money. It's an irrelevant conversation. What I want to do is, hey, we don't have enough money. Next question is, going above the line, is how do we move forward? What do we have to put in place to get that? Now, I'm sure that you know people who set up camp below the line. All right, they could win $2 million, and they would say, well, if I put something else in, I would have made $3 million. All right, you as the leadership group, you as the stakeholders and the movers and shakers within P&C, you need to drive the conversation above the line. And if people come, from an individual point of view, if people come and bitch and moan about what's happening, you go, I hear what you're saying, so what should we do about that? And push it back on them. And we can do that as a committee. For goodness sake, who's been in that situation? Give us a yes or no in chat about you've spent the whole committee meeting talking about what's gone wrong and spent very little time about how to solve a problem. Have you ever experienced that? Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, yeah, and it's really quite easy. Just keep people driving back with the statement of what do we need to do about that? What can we do next to solve that problem? Keep driving people above that. Great to see that someone says not anymore. Hey, someone just asked me, Amanda, we've heard you're a bit of a troublemaker, so that's good to see that you're doing that. All right. What I will do is, hell yes. I wonder what Amanda's last. I spent heaps of time. Yes, no problem. Someone just said, can someone please post the next meeting link? All righty, so they can actually move to it. What I want to do, I'll do this because people, people don't move out. If you're okay with me getting your email addresses from the organisation, from Richard or Jody or something like that. I'll send the actual video and the PowerPoint slides to you. If you do not want me to have your email, just put no. Just put no in the chat and I won't do it, all righty? Let me do two more slides before you all disappear onto your next thing. Here it is, policy procedures. Make sure you have got great policy procedures and WACSSO can help you out with that. All right, I'm sure. I know it's boring. I know it's dull, but policies and procedures are dull when you don't have to use them, but they're just the best thing ever when you do have to use them. Final thing is this, and I'm going to finish up on this, is effective meetings. All right? If your P&C is going more than an hour, you're probably talking too much. Thank you for those people who are making some nice comments. You should be aiming for really short meetings, and effective meetings have this. Number one, agenda. All right? Always have an agenda. Stick to the agenda. Link your agenda from the most important priority at the start of the meeting through to the least. And if you don't get through it in an hour, you can cut it off and move that next section to the next one. When I was a leader and within corporate world, if you didn't have an agenda, I do not turn up to the meeting. End of story. All right? It's important that you have an agenda. Here's the other question. Do you really need it? Are you just having the meetings for the sake of having meetings, or is there a real need? Be okay, unless it breaches your constitutional rights and needs. Yeah, timekeeping times on the agenda. Yeah. So Geograph Bay put agenda with timekeeping times on the agenda. Yes and no. If you get a really important point and you don't get to finish it off, I'm okay to ask the group going, hey, can we just leave the rest and stay on this? Yeah, the format is the agenda, Liz, I think, but we'll stick around and have a chat. All righty. Here's the final thing. Get someone who's really great at sharing meetings, who can negotiate conversations and bring people together and not let them miss out. And here's the thing I want you to remember. It doesn't have to be the chair. All right. So if the chair sucks at managing meetings and the processes of meetings, just go, hey, I'm going to hand over to Kieran, who's really great at this meeting procedures, and let them run the meeting, and I'm just going to be part of it. Parkfield, gee, you love to talk. How long does your meetings go for? An hour and a half these days. So much to discuss, but not time wasting, just enthusiastic members. Yeah, I would start winding it back I'll be aiming for an hour. Okay, is what I'm trying to do. Last year I spoke to someone from P&C who their P&Cs do 3 hours. mate, you're not the United Nations. Far out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, holy moly, happy to stick around. Have you answer? Yeah, it is the same, Kinross. I'm really happy to hang around and answer your questions and have a chat, but I don't want to stop you from going and seeing the inclusive crew. They're really great. I hope you got something out of that. Wow, that was quick. Thank you very much. I'll send out the information to you. Hopefully see you next year face to face. Catch you later.